Oh, continue. You have to consent.
You really? Oh, that's funny.
That's what it asked for.
Hey.
All right. I think there's a good number of us here. Do you think we should give it a few more or just begin? Okay. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for attending our Adopets application reviewing training this evening. I am going to start it off a bit and then Mary will tackle the second half. If anybody has any questions along the way, feel free to raise your hand physically or by emoji, or you can put it in the chat wherever, but we'll have time for questions at the end as well. So should be a pretty straightforward training, but yeah, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. So basically, the reason why we're doing this is we're trying to give foster families, more, have even more involvement than you already do with your kittens and, adult cats too, and their adoption process and everything. So this kind of helps eliminate the middleman for us. It's going to help out our RACs a lot, because it kind of just cuts out that, the middleman, basically, just because this is a very simple thing for you to be able to review, and you're already in contact with your adopters anyway, and setting up meet and greets and everything. So this is just giving you a little more access to doing the screening part. So we appreciate all of you who are interested in learning how to do this. We're really excited. So just to start off, basically, you're going to sign up for your Adopets account. It's important to note that if you don't currently have fosters right now, we're not going to be able to get you a login. It doesn't let us make you an account unless you have an active litter or foster that we can foster out to you. So for those of you who currently have fosters, we'll get you logins at the end of this and everything. But the rest of you will have to wait until you bring another foster home, basically. But we'll still make sure you get you a login. But if you don't have any fosters, there's really nothing to do in your Adopets account anyway. So we'll get you that login when it's time. So you'll get an email like you see here on the screenshot, and you'll just click the button to register. And you sign up with your email, create a password. And then once you get in to your Adopets account, you'll see your dashboard. It's pretty straightforward. You're only going to see your fosters that are currently available. So if you have a kitten you have, but is not currently on our website for adoption, they're not going to show up in your Adopets profile until they are actively accepting applications. So don't panic if you don't see the whole litter on there. Yes, Mary?
Isn't it, wait, so they actually shouldn't see anybody at all unless there's a new application or a pending
That's right. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, so even they'll get updated, they'll get on the website, and it's not until someone applies that they'll show up in your Adopets account. And then you'll be able to start reviewing applications. So they should just show up there. Whenever you get a new application in, they will be under the new column there. But then once you go further, it'll be in the in process column. When you do get an application in, you'll also receive an email from Adopets saying that you have an application in. So you'll get notified, and you'll be able to go into Adopets yourself and check on it. But it's gonna notify you every time you get a new application. So you can access it through there as well. And then once you get to reviewing the applications, so we always review them first come, first serve. So you're going to start with whatever the newest one or the oldest one is. It's usually at the top. And you'll do that by clicking on the kitten or typing in the name, sometimes you have to search it, and then click pet details on the far right. It's kind of annoying. You can't just click anywhere on that like line with the kitten's name. You'll have to hit pet details. And then that's going to pull up the kitten, and that'll have all the general information, the kitten's bio, you know, all the info about that cat. And then below is where you're going to see any pending applications, applications under review, basically just any application that comes in. So what the different statuses mean are important to note. Pending, which is the blue one, means that nobody has touched that application. It's not been opened. Just nothing's been done with it. Under review is what it changes to when you do open it. And it's important that you only ever have one under review at a time. It does notify that potential adopter once you've opened it. So they'll get an email and it'll say, we're currently processing your application. And then sometimes people take that as, I got the kitten. Like we've had people call thinking that's what it means. So it's important that you don't have several open because then a lot of people are getting confused. But then that's what it looks like there. You'll see when you click on it on that specific application. And it'll ask you again, do you sure you want to start the review? It'll show you if that adopter has any other applications in for other kitties in the shelter or in foster. You don't need to worry anything about that, but it does show you if they've applied for others. And then this is kind of what it looks like inside of an application. So the status bar at the top, it's pretty straightforward. It tells you when when they've submitted it, when you started reviewing it. And then the rest of it kind of is in the hands of like the RACs and the adoption counselors who are handling the application. So as it progresses, you'll see those light up green. But this top section here is where all of the information, both about like the adopter, their contact info, things like that will be. The left side's the pet info, the right side's the adopter. So you'll have to toggle through the little tabs and everything. You'll see their name, their phone number, their email, date of birth. They have an option on their application to put a little blurb about why they are adopting. Some people don't fill anything out, others will put as much as they can. But then all of the rest of the info will be in the See All tab. They have a place to put an emergency contact, and it has their home address in there, things like that. And then further down on the application is where you're going to see all of the questions. So if you're familiar with pre-COVID, like the yellow sheets we would use in the shelter, that's kind of the same kind of questionnaire as the rest of these. So there are 3 different sections there, and Mary can kind of go through those with you.
All right, thanks, Mara. Can you guys hear me okay? Good, okay. All right, so we're to the point of reviewing the adopter's application, and just a quick reminder before we get started that this is just, this isn't like more of like a questionnaire than it is like a hard application. Like this is like, tell us about yourself, that kind of thing. So it's important to look through all the stuff, so you can look through basically everything. There's pet questions, there's home questions, there's question by species, and you're welcome to take a look at everything they answer. The stickler things, the things that we're really concerned about is whether they mark indoor, outdoor, indoors only, or outdoors only. So they have an option of those 3 choices, and then the declawing question, because those are our 2 big things, right? We really want them to keep them indoors only, and we don't want them to declaw. So those are the questions under the pet questions. So you'll see one of them is, are you looking to adopt a pair of cats or kittens, and where they will live, and then I think, I'm not sure where the declawing one is. Let's see if, it doesn't look like we have a picture of that, but we can show it to you later on the the actual site. So so you'll go ahead and look through all those, and make note of in your head of what things you need to talk to them about. So after you review this, you're actually going to call the applicant and talk about it. I really recommend calling them and not emailing. It's going to save you a lot of time, because if you do email, you can ask a bunch of questions and then have to wait for them to respond, and then maybe not get the answers you're looking for. And it's going to be a lot more of your time to try to do that back and forth emailing than it would be to just get them on the phone. Important things when you're calling them. Sometimes you might have to leave a message. Often you might have to leave a message. And in that case, you really do want to put a time limit on it, because you don't want to just leave it open-ended. So if you leave a message and say, hey, this is the foster parent of the cat you applied for, a cat adoption team, and I'm reviewing your application, and I just wanted to chat with you, and please respond to me within 24 hours, or give them a deadline, a date, and a time. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the next applicant. And that's kind of how you guys would do it normally, but this is, we're giving you a little bit more verbatim now. And Susan, I will get to your question, I promise. It's coming. Okay, so yeah, leave them that message, or if you happen to get them on the phone, that's when you're gonna talk to them about their application. So let's see here. If, say, for whatever reason, you leave your message and you never hear back from this person, and you gave them that deadline and the deadline has come, you can actually archive their application by selecting request decline under the actions button, and that will notify us to archive it for you. So I think there's a, let's see, so there's the action button here. So it's on the cat's or it's on the application page. There's an action button over here, and you can request decline or request approve. So in that case, you'd be requesting decline. And that's usually the only time you're going to use that, unless you call somebody and they're like, oh, never mind, I adopted a different kitten, or I'm no longer interested, or say for whatever reason they really won't comply with our policies. That would be the situations where you would request the decline. And you can make a note there. There's actually a little note. You can make notes on any of this stuff, on when you called and the deadline you gave them. Mara, do you remember where the notes section is? How you get to it?
It's just below. So if you scroll up.
Oh, is it in that guide?
Yeah, well, I took a screenshot of it, but it's just below this section that we're looking at right now. Okay. So where it says adopter.
Maybe I'll just pull it up real quick, just so show you where that notes page is, because that seems like it would be really important for me personally, especially if you have a litter of 7 kittens and you're like, oh my God, where am I at with these kittens? Of course, I don't have any applications to review, but we'll show you later. I promise. Anyway, so the notes section is where you can keep track of that kind of stuff. Called on 10 a.m. Or in this case, I would probably put called, and then I put gave deadline of this to get back to me. Okay, so if you do reach them and you do have a conversation with them and they have selected anything but indoors only or no declaw, you want to have that conversation with that person. And this is a part of this training. Like, I know some folks are like, I don't know if I feel very comfortable, but if you're going to do this, you're going to want to get comfortable with having that conversation, and having a conversation, not just saying, sorry, you want to do outdoors, like, tough luck, bye-bye. Like, it's going to be a conversation, and you'll want to get familiar with the reasons why we suggest these things. So I've included a link to our manual in here, because in our manuals, I have now links to reasons that you should keep your cat indoors and reasons that declawing is not suggested. And they're both great articles that online that you can read and get really familiar with all of them. And then just kind of chat with that person. And what you'll mostly find is that people are just unaware. Like, honestly, declawing, they don't realize that it's like removing the first digit of their toe or first bone in their toe. Like, they think it's literally just like trimming nails. Like, they just have no idea. And when you tell them that, they're like, oh gosh, I would never do that, no way. Or when you tell them that, they're going to end up with litter box issues or biting issues later in life, they usually change their mind. For the indoors only thing, a lot of people just grew up with indoor outdoor cats. That's all they've ever known. So they're like, well, yeah, indoor outdoor, right? But then when you start talking to them about all the things that comes along with that, like your cat getting sick or getting eaten by a coyote or hit by a car, and all the birds that they kill and everything. And then you start talking about why they can be really, really happy indoors. You can have a great relationship with them. You can change a lot of people's minds. So stuff to read up on so you're prepared for those conversations. You might come across, like very rarely, I think you might come across somebody who's like, no, I really want my cat to be indoor outdoor, or like, no, I'm definitely declawing. And in those cases, sometimes we might have a previous declawed cat that they can adopt from the shelter. You can refer them to the shelter for that, or we might have an indoor outdoor cat. Like right now we have this cat Frida, who's approved for indoor outdoor adoption because she's really not happy inside. She wants to be an indoor outdoor kitty. She wants to be more like far from people. So refer them back to the shelter. There might be other kitties for them that they could potentially adopt. So again, most folks are going to be fine with this, and that's great. And if you ever have any trouble, or you aren't sure where to go from somewhere with an applicant, or something just seems off, email the RAC. That's that Adopt at Cat for assistance. They are always happy to help intervene on your behalf. Again, it's really important to be familiar with our adoption procedures section of our manuals, to know all those things. Okay, this is the hot item question. Oh, sorry, Susan, did that answer your question? Okay, great. Before I move on, I know that one's a tough one for folks. Did anyone have any questions about the indoor outdoor declawing? You're all gonna go read those articles and be like super educated. Okay, Renee says yes. Awesome. It really is actually kind of rewarding when people change their minds for you. Yeah.
It's okay. Like socializing it. It's like socializing and getting.
Oh, yeah, totally. We had a little echo there, but I hear you. Okay, so this is another hot item. Everyone wants to adopt their kittens in pairs, right? So here's one of the things we can do to make that more accessible. Well, in their bio, it's going to say who their siblings are. So I've been adding to everyone's bio, if they haven't already done it themselves, before I post them, I add like, so-and-so are my siblings, and we would love to go home in pairs. I just do that across the board because, kittens just usually, if we can encourage people to take pairs, why not, right? So, so if you get an application for one kitten, and that person and they're first in line, and for that one kitten, and they've applied for another kitten, whether or not they're first in line, you can bump them. So if you see, a list of applicants here, they applied for one kitten and they're first in line, and then you go to your other kitten and you see a list of applicants and someone else is below, bump them. That's fine. But just you can't go look through and see like, oh, I see, someone applied for 2 and they're third in line for 2 of my kittens, and then bump those, because that would, that's not really fair. But so you can't prioritize pairs, but in that case, but you could prioritize them if they're first in line for one kitten, just like you would have done in person. Like say they came over to meet them and you were like, okay, you're here for this kitten, but you also want that kitten. Great. Like it's that same idea. All right. I see a couple hands up. Heather?
Is there a way that you can tell, because I know you can tell if they've put in more than one application. What if they've applied for one kitten in your litter and another kitten in somebody else's litter? Can we bump there, or is there no way to know if they would take both?
So you only will be dealing with yours, so you won't be able to see anybody else's. So you might see that they've applied for somebody else, but you won't know the status of that application. So your main priority is just to handle the kitten that they applied for of yours. And when you get to that phone call conversation, you might talk about that. Like they may be like, oh, I applied for this other kitten too. And you can find out what the status of that is and whether or not they're going to do both, or, you can kind of see where they're at and, whether or not they want to move forward with yours. But you won't be able to see like that application for them or be able to review it for that other kitten or cat.
Okay, but we could help sort of facilitate a pair adoption if they say, hi, I'm interested in a pair of kittens. I definitely want to adopt 2. One of them's yours, the other one is so-and-so's. We could contact the RAC.
Yeah, or I mean, they can just do it. Like, there's no reason to even like get involved, because you can just, they can adopt your kitten, and they can also be in touch with the other foster and adopt their kitten. Like, they're sort of independent. Like, they don't need to happen together necessarily.
But they wouldn't get special priority on that second kitten.
Not from another litter. No.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, it would just within your litter, and that's sort of always the case. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anybody else on that? No. Yeah, so highlight there, this is the only time you will open an application out of order or otherwise not follow the first come first served policy. Okay. So now you've read through the application, you've had your phone conversation with your adopter, and you can go ahead at this time and set up a meet and greet if you'd like. So if the adopter's like, cool, you've told me about the kitten, I think it's great, and I don't even think I need to like do anything more, like, I love it, I want to take it home, like, you can call that your meet and greet, just your phone conversation. If they're like, I'd love to do a video chat, or I'd want to come to your home, and you're okay with that, to set that up, you can go ahead and set that up at this time. So do your meet and greet. After your meet and greet, if the adopter still wants to move forward, this is how you're going to let us know. You're going to go to that application. You're going to go to the actions button on the far right. You're going to click on that, and it's going to bring up a menu, and you're going to request approval. And what that does is it sends an email to our RAC team that you've requested, or that you're recommending this adopter, so that we can proceed with setting up an adoption counseling session, and then the process runs as normal from there. So they get their AC session, and you get the email once that's complete. Again, you don't send them home, obviously, until you get the pickup email, because that's when they've like paid and done everything. If you're interested in becoming an adoption counselor, that's still an option. You could actually take this process even further, and you can do their AC session, and you can have them pay, and you can run the whole show. You don't even have to involve us if you want to do that. My recommendation would be to start with this and see how it goes for you, and if you're feeling comfortable with the software, and then we can get you moving on to bigger things. So that's it. Do you guys have any questions, or do you want us to like kind of run through it live and show you what it looks like? You guys are real quiet.
Hi, this is Sonia.
Hey, Sonia.
I have a question about, I know that we get notified via email that we've got an application in. Will somebody at the shelter also be notified that we get an application in?
Nope, I think that's just you, because you're the foster. Yeah. Yeah, there wouldn't be really any need, because we actually don't want the RAC to get involved at this point, because we wouldn't want anybody like duplication, opening apps or whatnot. So we'll have it listed on our end that you're reviewing your own applicants, and that the RAC doesn't need to get involved until you recommend somebody.
All right, thanks so much.
Yeah. So you guys know, my plan going forward is just to ask you, now that you've come to this and you're feeling comfortable, like when we get your your marketing stuff in, your bios and your photos, we set up surgery, and we're asking about whether or not you want to review your own applicants. That's when we'll find out. So we'll be like, all right, are you going to review your applicants? Are you ready to do that? And then we'll get you set up with that each time. Oh, I see that there are some messages I missed. My bad. Okay. Oh, there's a typo. Susan. Calling us out on our typos. We'll look at it. Susan says, do we still have the option to return adoptable kittens to the shelter for adoption as we did pre-COVID? Yeah, so so something I should mention is when I initially answered some questions about our new process, I actually thought that we weren't going to do in-person meets with kittens at the shelter. And then I found out later that we changed our minds and we are doing in-person kitten meets at the shelter. And I know that makes it competitive for you folks hanging on to older kittens at home. Like people are, if you're only doing virtual meet and greets, it might not be as advantageous. So yes, of course, regardless, your kittens can come back to the shelter if that's what works best. I would suggest that you try getting them adopted from your house if you can. So, see if you can get enough interest just by doing virtual meets. I know a lot of folks probably feel the same way as you and don't want to do the in-person stuff, so they might actually prefer that. And again, here, like marketing is really the important thing. You want to make sure you get really good marketing info out there. Something you should know is that when people apply on our website, they apply for a specific cat or kitten. So they go onto the website and they say, I'm interested in Fluffy. And it takes them to a link, depending on whether that cat is at the shelter or in foster. If it's in the shelter, it takes them to a general application where they fill it out and then they set up an appointment to come meet cats. If they do an application for a foster cat, it actually takes them directly to that cat's application. So they don't actually know when they're applying that there are two ways. They only know I'm interested in this kitten and I want to apply for this kitten. So it kind of makes it more of a fair game on our website to just, apply for anybody regardless. And then they find out how they can meet that cat or kitten. But yes, to answer your question simply, yes, they can come back to the shelter. We just have to arrange it ahead of time because we need to make sure we have space.
I have a question.
Yeah.
As a foster who does most of their adoptions via my Instagram account, when we get kittens into foster and they're already at an adoptable age, do we just not have a choice at that point? Are they just automatically deferred to being put on the cat website? Or do we have like a time window to try and get them adopted via our social media accounts?
Yeah, so I think this is sort of explained in the foster manual, but maybe not as well as you're asking. So I'll try to explain it better. But just like when we send out the 5-week email, we would send you an email checking in about your kitten's adoptability regardless of their age. So we have our like 5-week email, and then we have our like just checking in, your kitten's ready for adoption email. And at that time, if you know you've got some interest, you're like, I've already started posting them. I have people who are potentially interested from Instagram or whatnot. Like I know I have a pool here. We will give you the hidden links and give you a little bit of time to work on that. And if you're like, I don't have that, like these are black kittens and no one seems interested at all, and we're flooded with kittens, like we'll move forward and start with the website. So yeah, for you folks that need more time, and it's not like you have to get your adoption completed like by a certain time. It's not like you have a week, and if you don't do it, we're putting them up on the website. It's more like, hey, do you think you have some folks interested? We'll give you some time and we'll check in with you in a week and see where you're at. And if you need them up on the website, then we'll do it. So you're still going to need time to get their bios and photos together anyway. So while you're doing that, then we'll check in with you and see where you're at.
Gotcha.
And for those of you who don't have big, social media followings, it won't matter. You can just say, put them on up. Great. Doesn't matter, right? We had a question of, will the RAC or the RAC still have any discretion about whether or not to adopt to an applicant? Yeah, so they can see the application just like you can. If there's anything glaringly like wrong, they could absolutely say, hey, I don't think this is a good idea. But it's pretty rare that we say no to folks. Like it would be pretty unusual for us to say, hey, I don't think this person's a good idea. By the time you've reviewed it and checked off the basic stuff, like we're not going to be like saying no usually, unless for some reason they're still saying like I'm going to keep it outdoors. Then we might have some questions. Okay, so it looks like some folks want to do the little run through. So let's see here. Mara, do you want to, well, I wonder actually if I can just show you through my other account. Hold on. Get out of the way. Okay. So this is what it looks like on our end, like for like, you know, the admin side. So this is what the RACs see. They see like all these applications for all these cats. And you won't see all, like on this left bar, we have all this like reports and settings. You won't see any of that stuff. It's just going to be one screen. It's your dashboard. That's your main screen, right? So say we were looking at an application. Oh, look. Oh, wait. No, I was thinking that was somebody's cat who is here. Let's see if we can find somebody's foster kitten. I don't see anybody that's here tonight. Okay, well, we'll just have to use a guinea pig because I don't want to open a new one because that would.
Can you look at faux cat 1?
We could do that. We could look at our fake feline, yeah. So again, I can't click on the faux feline. It's tempting to want to be able to do that, but it won't let you. You got to go over to pet details. And then we can see, okay, here's the one like we showed you the example in the guide. And this the pet info will actually look different now. This is where your bio goes, but it no longer says that we're doing contactless adoptions and that they have to buy a cardboard carrier. It doesn't say that stuff anymore. And then we go down here, we can see, oh, Mara applied to this kitten. So Mara wants to adopt faux feline K1. So it's already under review, so we don't need to open it. But again, we can't click over here. We got to click over at details to see her application. So now's where you get this, like here on the application is where you get this screen up here, right? Where you can see like, okay, application, we started the review back on July 15th. Not approved yet, and we won't be approving. That's the RAC that does that. But if we wanted to go over at our actions button here, we could archive. Well, it's going to say request archive or request approve for you. I have the admin ability, so it's I can go ahead and archive or approve. But you would go over there to do that. If we wanted to see more about the pet, it's going to pop up this window, and it'll show us more information about the kitten, but more likely you're going to want to see information about the adopter. So let's see everything. Oh boy, Mara's given us all her personal information.
No, it's oh wait, some of it is real. No, it's fake.
No, it's
That's
cat
not,
info, I know.
that's not my real driver's license. I intentionally made something up.
It's just kidding. It might be her real birth date, we're not sure.
That is true.
Okay, and she got a third cat. We all know Sticky Rice. If you don't know Sticky Rice, you should probably go follow Sticky Rice. But she needs more cats. So duh, right? Everyone needs more cats. So great, wonderful. Honestly, we don't really need her address. We don't really need any of this stuff. Like, I don't even know. Like, the only thing you really want to know is why are they adopting this pet?
That's where you add the notes.
Oh, the notes. Where's the notes?
Right here, this bottom section
Notes.
below.
Notes. You see that, guys? Notes. So we can add a note. Mara seems cool.
Thank you.
We'll add that note. Cool, there it is. It's dated and everything. And then down here, this bottom bar is where all that application details are. And you can also see other applications. So she applied for Shiloh and oh, she didn't get Shiloh. But if we open this up, you can just click on the bar. All this stuff comes down. This is where you can see whether or not they're looking to adopt a pair, where they're going to live indoors only, indoor, outdoor only. The home is quiet, busy, whatever. How much time they'll spend with the pet. There's not any really red flags here unless, unless they're like 24 hours a day. I don't know that anyone's ever marked that, but I would have some questions if they were going to be on 24 hours a day.
Sometimes the Adopets has glitches, and sometimes it will say that. But if you mention it during your phone call, people are like, huh? And I'm like, oh yeah, it was just a glitch. Very rare.
I would imagine that would have been a mistake. It just said they're gone all day long. And then they'll say what pets they've owned. I mean, honestly, I don't know, unless it says like that they've owned a bunch of cats and they all died being hit by cars or something. Like, I don't know, you're still gonna have them, keep them indoors, and unless there's something like glaringly weird on here, and if there is, you can always talk to us first. It's usually just normal stuff. Any pets living with you currently, this would be important. Say you're adopting out like an adult cat who doesn't like other cats, say they have a bunch of other cats right now, like, okay, well, that's not gonna work. You can always call and be like, hey, this cat doesn't like other cats. Oh, okay, not gonna work. I mean, hopefully they read that in the bio, but some people don't. The next tab is home questions. It asks about pronouns, so you can use the appropriate pronouns when you call them. Children, number of adults, number of seniors, number of teens. I don't know that we don't need to know like really all of that information. Children is important. Like say you have a really, really fearful adult cat that you know would just not do well with like toddlers. Like, okay, I get that. But honestly, like most cats and kittens are going to be fine with kids unless there's really like a known issue. And it's always just a good idea to talk about the cat's behavior and let people decide for themselves. Who are you adopting for? If it's like what are the options there, Mara? You know?
This is like family, others, partner, friend. There's like all different kinds of options.
Okay. So usually it's myself or my family or whatnot. If you see something else, it's worth chatting with them about, like, hey, so you're adopting for a friend, like, you know, we usually recommend that they fill out an application and adopt their own cat. Heather, you got a question?
Yeah, in cases like you said, for example, where they have a ton of cats and they're trying to adopt your cat who hates other cats, would you just talk to them about that in the phone call and basically like encourage them to maybe apply for a different cat and then request a decline?
You got it. You're
Okay,
on it.
thanks.
Exactly what I would do. And like I said, hopefully they read the bio, which said like prefers to be the only cat and won't apply anyway, but you never know. Do all members of your household know you will be adopting a new pet? You know, most people will say yes. If they say no, it might be worth asking why. Maybe they're getting it as a surprise for the kids. Great, whatever, I don't care. No big deal. Last tab over here is questions by species, and that's going to give you more of an idea of, it's more for the adoption counselor to give an idea of their level of cat experience, that first question, because then we can tailor their adoption counseling session to them. So if they're like super savvy, like we're not going to go into lots of details about how to care for a cat. But if they are newbies, we might set aside some more time. Here's where the do you plan to declaw your cat is. So in that third tab by species question. And then these are pretty important, like what they're looking for. These are all the options they can check, I think. And
Yep.
Mara wants all of them.
Yes.
So if you're looking for like a really outgoing, friendly kitten, and maybe yours is a socialization kitten that's a little bit more reserved and it's gonna need more time, maybe it's not, you know, maybe it isn't the best fit. But again, not for you to really decide, more for you to just call and be like, hey, this is what my kitten's like. I don't know if that's what you're looking for or if that's going to be the best fit for you. Like, just tell them about it. What statement best describes your experience? So again, just getting an idea of what their level of experience is. And then if they're comfortable adopting cats or kittens with special needs, and these are all the options that we list for special needs. So if you have an adult cat that you're adopting out, these things might be applicable, or if you maybe have a socialization kitten that has some sassy attitude, it might be things that you'd want to look out for.
And sometimes people don't check those at all, but then when you talk to them, they say, oh yeah, I'm totally fine with a cat who bites. I'm used to that. Sometimes they just don't even pay attention to those checks. So all can be discussed during the phone call too.
Yeah, again, this is just a jumping point for you to have a conversation, things to talk about. And then this is for the adoption counselor. Those are things that they want to, any additional topics they might want to discuss, like, you know, trimming nails or litter box use or things like that. And then if they've applied for multiple cats or kittens, we do ask them to list them and list their highest interest first. But don't worry about this because again, you're just going to be looking at it for your kitten or your cat, and reviewing it for that, not worrying about anybody else. The last one is, are you willing to adopt a cat with special needs? So they may say yes or no. Okay, so if say Mara, we talked to Mara and she was like, I'm letting this cat outside immediately. There's no talking her out of that. We're gonna request an archive here. Wants to keep it outside. And then we'll
Is that going to be on my record now?
I'm not gonna do it, Mara.
I know.
But if we wanted to, Mara went great with Mara. Oh my gosh, she really wants this kitten. Then we're going to request the approval and it will go from there.
And it does ask you for a note on there too, which is nice. So you can tell the RAC, like, I talked to them about this or that, and this is why I think this worked. Like you have an option to send them a message when you request approval, which is nice.
Yeah, so especially if they marked indoor outdoor or something weird and you talk to them about it, I would definitely make notes there that you, because otherwise the RAC might come back and be like, hey, did you talk to them about this? It's a good idea.
It asks for notes too when you request a decline, because I had my first applicant for one of my kittens, to which I called and talked to her because she said she wanted a single kitten and she was gone 9 hours a day. And I think my cats would do much better with a group, like a pair, because they are kind of socialization, not really, but, you know, kind of talk to her about naughty kittens or bored kittens or naughty kittens. And, you know, a buddy might be preferred, especially since they're going to be on their own so much. And she changed her mind and she said, yeah, I need to think about it and maybe get an older cat that's more set in its ways. And so I had to request a decline. But it asked for notes as to why are you asking for this decline? And so I had to fill that out as well. So it's nice because I guess you guys will know that we're not just opening one and then being like, oh, we don't personally like this application and requesting a decline.
Thanks, Renee. Yeah, Renee was our test subject. She gave us some feedback, some great feedback.
I think the hardest part for fosters, and maybe it's just me because I just cry all the time, but I think the hardest part is letting go of what your expectations of your kitten's life should look like. You know what I mean? So you have to let that go, especially if you're going, you know, in order of applications. Because one of my kittens, it's not the life I expected for her, but she's going to be perfectly fine. You know what I mean? Like it's anyway, that's going to be hard, I think, for some fosters, because we get attached to the kittens more than I think you guys do at the shelter because we're with them all the time.
Very well said, Renee. I appreciate that. I still have intentions of doing like an official, like why we do adoptions the way we do training and why we don't have a lot of barriers to our adoptions here at CAT. And that is coming. It's just a little bit more involved than this training. And so I need a little bit more time to put it together. But I know a lot of folks have a hard time with that. You know, they're like, I really want my kittens to go together, or I really want my kittens to go to a home with, I don't know,
Kids,
this or that, or kids or no kids or whatnot. And it's hard to let go of that stuff. And I promise I'll get you more info on why we do that and why it's really important.
and by the way, she is going to the woman that if I had my druthers would not have been my first choice, but she's a perfectly fine woman, capable. The kitten's gonna have a great life. It's just not the life I had envisioned for her. So that's on me. But I don't know if other fosters have that same problem. Like I have my ideal family for my kittens. And that's just not always how it works out.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I'm like, oh, you want to adopt? Great, here you go. Yeah, I just don't get as attached as Renee. I don't know. I might just be like emotionally void. I'm not sure.
Overly.
We're just polar opposites. Everybody else is probably somewhere in the middle.
a big soppy weepy mess. So
let's see, there's some comments here. Juliet just says beefsteak. That means Juliet, but
That was a while ago. That was a while ago.
Okay.
get that application when you were.
Oh, when we were looking for applications. Oh yeah, okay, gotcha. All right. Yeah, okay, these are just funny things. I see. Okay, Susan asks, if adopting for a friend, that's what they mark, and when they want it to be a surprise, do we turn it down? Again, this is just a conversation, like, hey, it's really best that your friend picks their own cat. You don't really know like what their situation is and what they're looking for, and like we really need them to apply. And you may find out in that conversation that there's something else going on, like maybe it's actually someone they live with and it's actually a part of their family and they just marked the wrong thing. And it's always good to just have that combo. But yeah, but you would, if they're like, yeah, no, I'm just adopting, I just filled this out for somebody else, like, yeah, we need a request to.
And I don't think it's happened very often, but if you get those what's belligerent, is that the right word? If you get those who are just like, no, this is what I want to do and you're going to do it for me, as a foster, I don't think you should have to deal with that. And so if they're that way about it, I would refer them to talk to somebody at the shelter personally or over the phone. But it's don't make yourself uncomfortable in this process.
Yep, we're always here to help, so don't feel like you're lost and alone in the abyss. We will help you. Seems pretty easy though, right? Oh, Bruce, is your hand still raised, Bruce?
Yes.
Oh.
Is there and once we get an email that an application has been submitted for one of our kittens, is there an expected time frame where we need to start the process going, call them, reach out to them, and in case we're really busy or something? I mean, is there an expectation of when we should be moving on that?
That is a good question. We did not include that, and we should. We absolutely should. I would say, just like everything else, the ideal is like a 24-hour turnaround, but there's some leeway there for, you got stuff going on. So like we ask for, when we say we're doing this for you, the RAC sends the email out to do the meet and greet. We usually say, try to set this up when, within 24 hours. That deadline is more for the adopter than for you. Like, we don't want them to push it out too long. But if you're really busy and you're not available to do it right away, like I would say, try to get it done within a few days. Like, you don't want to lose that adopter by ignoring their application for too long. They're going to move on to another cat or kitten. So sooner the better, but try to get it done within 48-ish hours. Does that help? Renee.
I need a thumbs up.
Okay, I had a question about other applicants. So I had one kitten that got like the maximum number of applicants, and the second one ended up being the adopter. What happens to the applications that were below that? Are they notified that this kitten is no longer available and they should move on, or are they just kind of left out in la la land?
They're in la la land.
Oh, okay. So we need to add that, Mara, to the.
Yeah, they just don't they apply and then nothing happens.
Do we need to archive them more?
No, not if they're pending. If they're under review, they have to be archived. But if they've never been opened, then we don't have to do anything.
Okay.
Is there any plan to inform those people? Because as a customer, I would be like, what the heck? Like, I never heard anything like
that.
You know what I mean? Like as an adopter, I would want some sort of, like, am I just going to hang around and wait for this kitten or what?
Yeah, that was a big topic when we first started using Adopets, but I think like Michelle ultimately decided we just don't have time to call all those people and let them know. And I think when you decline someone, notifies them. But
If you
yeah,
archive it, yeah, it'll
yeah.
say, it sends you an email saying, you know, like, it's a simple polite thing. So you could go through and archive and request an archive of all the other applicants. If you wanted to do that, you absolutely could, and it would give them that notification that the kitten was chosen by somebody else.
Yeah,
Seems
and it's
like-
not like you're gonna have 20 because there's only like a max of like 4 or 5 applications, right?
Mhm.
And then they
Formats, yep.
disappear. Do they disappear off of the website at that point, or there's just still on there and you just can't apply for them?
No, they disappear from the website when they have 4 applicants, and then if that number goes down, so say someone gets archived, it's back to 3, they'll show back up again.
Oh, okay, okay. Thanks.
Seems like something Adopets could add where when a kitten gets officially approved or whatever, anybody waiting, you could just generate an email real quick to them saying, sorry, this kitten's been taken by somebody else or something like that.
Yeah, I can ask more about that, or what they would
That's-
like us to do, but
Yeah, that's kind of like what the RACs deal with emails a lot, is people saying, I applied for this kitten, is it still available? And they have to be like, no, or like, you're this far down in line. That's kind of what goes on in Contact Us quite a bit. And I think there's somewhere on our website, at least for like all the adults and everything, that it says like, if you don't hear back from us, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like if you're first in line for, we try to tell people, if you're first in line for a kitty, you're gonna get a phone call. Otherwise, you're not gonna hear from us.
I'll try to get more information for you guys about that and see if there's anything that we want you to do. Renee, is your
Thanks.
hand up again, or is that?
No, I just
That's all.
didn't put it
Okay.
down.
Okay,
There you go.
thank you. Is everybody pretty comfortable, feeling like they can handle this? Pretty user friendly.
It was
See how it
very,
goes.
and I'm horrible at technology, so take that for what it's worth.
And there you go, from Renee. But- Okay, well, those of you who have kittens that are either currently available or going to be available soon, we'll be talking to you about getting your login, and the rest of you will get you when we get you. This guide is linked in the foster manuals, so you can access it anytime, and I highly recommend having it open the first time you're doing all this, so that because it takes you step by step, so you can just walk down and do it all with the guide there right with you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. If you have any follow-up questions, let us know.
Thanks.
Okay.
You.
Bye.
Thanks,
Have a good
guys.
night.
Bye.